If you've been looking for a dungeon crawler RPG that's completely PvE, no PvP, with some MOBA elements to it, then this is going to be the video for you because you'll want to know about the game called Fellowship. This game recently dropped, I believe, on October 16th in early access on PC via Steam. If you don't know what it's about, well, the Steam description talks about Fellowship is a multiplayer online dungeon adventure set in an exciting fantasy setting with endlessly scaling dungeon runs. It currently sits at a mostly positive in terms of the reviews on Steam as well, too. I was granted access to it by the devs. Thank you for that as well, too. But check it out. And I did try it out. And this is my gameplay impressions video of the game. Let you know some of the key details about it that might interest you. And off the bat, as you might expect with this type of game, there is a tutorial you can try out. You can skip it if you want to. There is that option, but I do recommend trying out the tutorial just so you get, the basics of the games and all the different functionalities and what you can do with your character, things like that. And it didn't take long at all. It's like the tutorial's maybe roughly like 10 minutes, if that, maybe less. What does throw me off, though, is just the way the controls are. I believe at this time of this game, early access, there's no controller support for it. It's just keyboard and mouse. And it's not currently supported by Steam Deck compatibility. So I imagine maybe when it fully launches, it will be available on Steam Deck. But as it sits right now, no. And yeah, the controls for me, and this could be just a me thing, just because I'm not used to playing mobiles with mouse and keyboard, at least on PC anyway. And any mobile I have tried out, I usually play with a controller. But the controls kind of feel a little, I don't want to say janky, more like jarring a bit, for me at least. And just didn't feel smooth overall in terms of experience for me to get used to. I did get used to them. It was mostly when it came to maneuvering my character as far as positioning and moving them around, things like that. Not so much attacking, but there were moments where I'm thinking I'm clicking on an enemy and my attacks are not like either landing or I'm not able to hit the attacks. I could have sworn I'm like targeting an enemy, things like that. So it definitely needs some work here. But the tutorial is a solid tutorial, I'll say that, and going over everything you need to know as far as the basics of the game and gameplay. There is a hub area, and I want you to go through it to, do this checklist of like, exploring it basically and checking out different things from like a blacksmith where you can like upgrade your gear. There's also a stash as well too. We can keep stuff there. There's also weapons, and each weapon has a series of traits that infuse it with incredible power, things like that. Each traits is either like heroic, defensive, or master. And only one trait of each row can be active at a time. There's also mounts you can get. You can get a mount after completing your first dungeon, I believe, as well, too. There's also leaderboards. You can check it out if you care about that stuff. And there's like this center round table where you can go into matchmaking, do a quick play type of thing, or try to meet up with friends if you like as well. And then when I actually did a dungeon here, it ran pretty smooth. I played with randoms. They were both very helpful, very chill, very cool. I played a tank character just to try it out. That's what I did in the tutorial. So I was like, I'm going to stick with a tank character. And overall, nice. Went smooth. Wasn't super long. These are dungeons that can get done fairly fast. I would want to say within maybe like 15, 20 minutes at most. And the visuals here are pretty good, pretty solid here. Almost kind of reminds me a bit of WoW a bit if you like that art style in a sense. I'm not a big fan of WoW, partially because of the art style, but art style here is not bad. It is, looking like a MOBA in that certain sense in terms of art style. Visuals, pretty good. There was a bit of, I think, a little lag or slowness, something like that at one point. I had to adjust my settings from epic to high because of that. But overall, ran pretty smooth for me. Didn't have any really technical issues, didn't crash on me. No other bugs or glitches that I could tell. The music is alright in this game. Decent. It's early access. They'll probably add more music and exciting things. Enemies don't really say much or do much. Your characters don't really say much either that you play as. You're just kind of going through this. It's almost kind of like autopilot a bit here, I guess, or like mindless fun in a sense. Once you get used to the controls and, abilities and what they do, things like that, and how to maneuver and work as a team. And yeah, like it's not that hard to essentially get into and just kind of go through this. Didn't seem very challenging here. The enemies were fairly easy overall. As long as you got the players doing what they're supposed to be doing, because you got a tank character, you got DPS, or you can have 2 DPSs and then a healer as well. So you can have a 3-person squad or up to 4 someone's got to be healer though, because they got to keep the tank alive, of course, keep the DPS alive, and essentially a tank is there to absorb most of the damage, aggro as well. That way the DPS character can just hang back and just take them out, and then the character that's a healer can do damage as well too when they don't need to heal. And eventually you get to a boss fight at the end of the dungeon, and you take down this boss that has a decent sized health pool. And the first one I did was a Warlord Brog, and he had some ads here. He would summon occasionally and stuff like that. Wasn't really difficult though, and fairly simple, easy. You know, just had a bunch of health, tanky a bit, but not exactly spongy. So, yeah, we just worked as a team. You know, like I said, play with randoms, worked really well together. Was no issues as far as us getting along to work together as a team. Made sure I did my part as tank, and they did their part as DPS and healer respectively. All in all, it's a solid fun time. I can see this being a fun game for many people that like this type of style. For me though, like I said, I think the controls need to be adjusted as far as like feeling more smooth overall. But then again, that could be just me because I'm not used to playing mouse keyboard with this type of play style or game style. But hopefully they add controller support, because when I tried to play on controller, my controller just wasn't working. So I don't know. Maybe they'll add it later on. Hopefully they do. It is early access, and there are still things being worked out, some kinks being worked out, and some polish and all that good stuff. But yeah, if you like this type of style of game, I think it's be right up your alley. Currently, I think it is priced on Steam for 25 bucks. If you want to get into it, it is available on Steam right now in early access for 25 bucks. And this is a fun online co-op game you can play with friends if you like, or even randoms, and just have a mindless type of fun and really get into like, you know, gear hunting, loot, grinding, things like that, and upgrade your gear. And just, so that is my final thoughts on the game. Overall solid experience, and just hope they keep polishing it, work on it some more, and make it a better experience overall for everybody. I don't think it's fully a game for me though, personally. Like, I don't think this will be something I want to play on full release, but I was still glad I was able to try it out and make a video about it for you guys, tell you about it for those of you that are interested in this style of game. But what do you guys think about this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, if you've already been trying it out, or if there's something that might be up your alley as well too. Love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video and learned something, I would appreciate a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.